Joey Maguire's latest dig at Texas. Is he right or is he being a little bit delusional? We discuss today on the show. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Joey Maguire has continued to stand on business and he is not ducking the smoke. He came for Texas again. And obviously, one of his pressures, he was out, I believe it was at an event or something like that. But he's standing 10 toes down. Now, what's interesting is I had a couple of Texas fans comment on my TikTok, and it was like, well, Naj, I think we got, I think they said they got Michigan, and I think they said they got Notre Dame in 2027 and 2028. But here's the latest of what Joey Maguire basically had to say about the Texas Longhorns, okay? Let me pull up. Sorry, y'all. Okay, here's the latest. All right, so he says, so Joey Maguire at a San Antonio QB club. Texas is expecting to announce a major 2027-2028 home and home series with a major blue blood. All right, via what it says here, Texas Joey Maguire has taken another shot. Obviously announced that it will play a major blue blood in 2027 and 2028, and then proceeded to state that it won't be Texas because they're scared. Maguire has recently stated that they would love to play Texas in week 1 of this season and has also stated that we will be willing to pay both buyouts to make it happen. We're working our tail off to get back to the playoffs again. I hope that round 1 is against the University of Texas. We might need this rivalry to come back. And obviously, it's a very big one. Texas fans have been standing 10 toes down. There's a few fans from Lubbock, Texas that have tuned into the show and has said, like, this is a pretty big rivalry. And like I said, it makes college football fun. Now, some Texas fans and reporters feel like he's being a little delulu, right? To a sense. But I think he's adding a good fire, a good spirit to the state. And you don't want to see him back down, right? And when we're talking about this, to be honest, Coach Sark started it because he basically said, hey, I can take my 2s and my 3s and I go undefeated with your cupcake schedule. It's nothing for us. But you also got to remember the different conference that they play in. Obviously, Texas plays in the SEC. So there's levels and different things like that. But I do agree with Coach McGuire that they have come a long way, since last time they played them, I think it was like 67-7. They've come a long way and they've won a lot of games, right? And last year you win the Big 12 championship, you go to the college football playoff, right? And if your quarterback played any better, you might have been able to make a run, right? Because this team was loaded with Romello Height and obviously you had Jacob Rodriguez, right? And you had the pieces in place to make a run, but you fell a little bit short, right? So that is how McGuire feels, is what he said. And as it says here from Matt Goselton, right? Feels like it might be his most delusional yet, right? And this is what he had to say on Texas Longhorns on SI. So, when teasing a potential non-conference home and home series against a major college football blue blood for 2027 and 2028 seasons, McGuire noted that the match would not be against the Texas Longhorns. Why? According to McGuire, because the Longhorns are scared. It won't be Texas because they're scared. And that statement might be McGuire's most delusional yet. The Longhorns have historically dominated the Raiders, lead the all-time series 55-18. They're also a whopping 19-5 versus Tech since 2000 and have won 5 of the last 6 meetings between the two teams. In the one loss, Texas blew a 10-point lead and turned the ball over in overtime to lose the game. In fact, in their Big 12 season, the Longhorns eviscerated Texas Tech 57-7 in Lubbock. Joe McGuire was the head coach of the Red Raiders in that matchup and watched then third-string quarterback Arch Manning get his first live game action as a college football quarterback. Outside of all of that, Texas plays arguably the toughest schedule in the country in 2026. Texas is not afraid. They have better things to do, is what he had to say. He says the Longhorns start with a plucky Texas State team that has one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the nation with Brad Jackson and Bo Sparks. Yeah, that statement there is crazy as hell to say. Like, Texas has better things to do. Yeah, that's wild. And then you brought up Texas State, right? Regardless if they have a good wide receiver 1-2 duo, Texas State ain't no damn Texas Tech. So he's wild for that statement, to be honest with you. That's a crazy statement to say. But he goes on to say, Wild completed 71.3% of his passes and also ran for 744 yards and 17 touchdowns on the ground. Sparks was his top target. Okay, what it says, not exactly a cupcake to start the season, The schedule for Texas then rolls the week 2 tilt against Ohio State. This part I agree with. It contains SEC matchups against Ole Miss, Tennessee, Oklahoma, LSU, and Texas A&M. The latter 4 of which are all away from home. But perhaps the most important point, and the one that Maguire can't seem to grasp, is that putting Texas Tech on their schedule in the future anytime soon will likely be a downgrade. The Longhorns schedule national title contenders in a non-conference slate and have done so dating all the way back to 2019-2020 with LSU. The 2020 matchup in Baton Rouge was canceled due to COVID-19, but it was on the books. In 2019, the Longhorns played arguably the best team in the history of the sport, and Joe Burrow-led LSU Tigers. They were scheduled to face them again in 2020, but obviously with COVID, they did not. In 2022, 2023, it was Alabama. Yes, the same Alabama that was coming off 2 straight national title appearances in 2020 and 2021. They scheduled home-and-home matches against Michigan 2024 and 2027, and Ohio State 2025 and 2026, each of which has won a title in the last 3 seasons. After that, Texas has Notre Dame on the schedule in 28 and 29, which just played for a national championship in 2025 and is a favorite to compete for one again this year. The Irish could even begin the season as the number 1 overall team in the country. With that future slate, replacing Michigan or Notre Dame with Texas Tech will only be a downgrade. So to that standpoint, I agree with him, right? He's right. Right? If they go and get Texas Tech for Michigan or Notre Dame, like Texas Tech can't compete with those teams right now. I mean, he's 100% right. Right? Those are national contenders. Those are national brands, and they're synonymous with college football. So I'm not going to disagree with that statement. I think he's 1,000% right. But to say, oh, yeah, we played Texas State, I feel like this year, if you really wanted to smoke, you could do it, right? So this is the schedule real quick that I want to show you guys, right? So even this year, right, they're not going to do it because if you're Texas, you don't want to play. Can't talk today. If you are Texas, you don't want to play 11 Power 4 opponents, right? You just don't want to do it, right? And I get the Texas State, but if you're Texas, right, you're going to need a couple games in there with the 9-game SEC slate we talked about. But you can replace Texas Tech with UTSA. You can replace Texas State with, obviously, you know what I'm saying, Texas Tech. But like I said, is that smart thing to do, right? I'm not too sure, right? When you think about all those things, right? It has to make sense and it has to be valuable, obviously, for the Texas Longhorns. So now I'm looking up their 2027 opponents to see. Because they always have them out early. Okay, so this is 2027 and who they will play, right? New Mexico State, then they're going to play Michigan in Austin, UTEP, Alabama, Arkansas, South Carolina, Auburn, Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma Sooners, Texas A&M, and then in Vanderbilt. So to rebuttal what the dude is saying, basically, as we kind of go back to it, he said it would be a downgrade, right? To basically his point of what he was saying, right? And my stance to it, like, right, he's 100% correct when you say, yes, it's a downgrade replacing Michigan or Notre Dame with Texas Tech, right? My thing is, though, why replace those teams? I think Joey Maguire had it right. When you look at this future schedule for Texas 2027, why you can't put a Texas Tech instead of a New Mexico State, right? Why you can't put a UTEP? Okay, hold on. This thing is going bad. Okay, we good? Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay, it was buffering real bad. Okay, so when we look at this schedule for Texas, right? You got New Mexico State, you got Michigan, you got UTEP, right? So again, you play a 9-game slate. You don't want everybody to be Power 4, and I'm with him. I'm not replacing Michigan with Texas Tech. Hell no. Why the hell would I do that, right? But you can't replace one of those other opponents that you face for Texas Tech to start the season. Why you can't? So from that standpoint, I'm with Coach, right? You say like Texas has better things to do, but in the same breath, why you can't replace that? Like we go to 2028, right? So look at this schedule: Louisiana Tech, then you're gonna play Notre Dame, then you have UTSA, Florida, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, Tennessee, Texas A&M. Cool, I'm fine with that. Why you can't replace Texas Tech for Louisiana Tech? Why you can't replace Texas Tech for UTSA? That's all I'm saying, right? Some of the best teams this year has 11 Power 4 opponents this upcoming year. I believe Louisville might be one. I know Georgia Tech's definitely one, right? Why you can't replace those teams? So when he says they have better stuff to do, why you can't replace one of those other teams you play, right? I know they play one of the toughest schedules. I ain't coming for Texas when it comes to that, but you can play Texas Tech if you wanted to, right? We look at the 2027, 2028. That's cool. I'm with him. I'm not replacing Notre Dame. I'm not replacing Michigan. But I could easily put Texas Tech in one of those first 3 spots without a doubt. Right? Let's see it. Right? Now, this is the Texas Longhorns. Let's see what Texas Tech has in terms of their scheduling. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Texas Tech, right? They have Abilene Christian this year. Okay, cool. Oregon State, Houston, Sam Houston Bearcats. Okay, Colorado, Arizona State. This is all conference, by the way. Cincinnati, Arizona, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU. Okay, so cool. I'm with you. To start the season, this is not too hot. Oregon State has, I think they moved back to the Pac-12. I'm not mistaken, right? After everything that happened with that conference and got dismantled, essentially, they're trying to rebuild it back to what it used to be, what it was, right? So they've even said, "Hey, we'll buy out Texas and those two opponents, and we'll buy out Abilene in order to play you guys week 1." Okay, cool. They didn't bite on it, no problem. Okay, let's look at 2027, right? He says historically they have a soft schedule, right? Okay, he's right. UAPB Golden Lions, New Mexico Lobos, BYU, Houston, Kansas, TCU, Utah, Baylor, Kansas State, Iowa State, UCF. Okay, cool. Same thing. They can replace this September 4th game with one against Texas. Why not? Last but not least, 2028. A little bit better. Stephen F. Austin, Wyoming, and that's all they have currently as constructed right now, right? So what's my standpoint on this? Why do I bring this up? Because I think in one token, right, that they say Joey Maguire is delusional. I think Joey Maguire wants to smoke. I think Joey Maguire wants to play Texas. I think he's not running from it. He's like, yo, let's line it up, right? Let's go out there and go play. Let's feud this rivalry, right? And he's even said, hey, if we ain't gonna be able to see you during the regular season, we gonna catch y'all in the playoffs, right? We want to see y'all week 1 in the playoffs. Y'all come down to Lubbock and let's see that motion. Let's see what the hell y'all gonna do, right? So 1 is good for the sport because you need rivalries. 2, I wouldn't say he's necessarily being delusional. Yeah, they whooped their butt 67-7 a few years ago, but these are 2 different teams now, right? Texas is a standard in college football, 100%. But if you Texas, right, I ain't saying you got to do it this year. Why can't next year, 2027, obviously they schedule in a new home-and-home series. Why you can't put Texas Tech on your schedule? They're in your state, right? We just pulled up the teams they're going to play. Why you can't replace one of those teams? That's all I'm saying. Give the audience, give us what we want to see. And we want to see Texas Tech versus Texas, right? So that's my standpoint. I don't think he's being that delulu, right? Obviously, he points to some of their weak scheduling that they have. You know what I'm saying? Non-conference opponents. Houston, one was NC State. NC State's usually a pretty good team in the ACC. Oregon's a pretty good team as well. And obviously, in those games, they're 1-3, right? So I just think, in my opinion, they want to play them boys, right? They want to lace it up, right? Let's see it. The Island boys to lace it up and let's go toe to toe. And I think it'd be a damn great game for college football, right? And it goes to show you too, right? I like Sark. I'm a big fan of Sark, but you got to watch what you say. You got to watch what you put out there because it can come back to bite you, right? And I think that's the tail in this one, right? And I don't think they're desperate to play him. I just think they want to smoke, right? Don't call us out and subtweet us, right? And you're really talking about us. Stand on your business. Call us out like a man. And then when we schedule you, don't run from the smoke. Instantly, if I'm Coach Sark, okay, bet. If I can't do it this year, right? Next season, 2027, we want y'all. Let's play, right? 2027, 2028. Let's buy out these 2 opponents. We clearly got the money. We're Texas and we Texas Tech. And let's play. Let's see what the hell y'all talking about, right? And then from that point, if you Coach Sark, you get even more notoriety because you handle your business. You may run from the smoke and you schedule them. Period. Right? So I'm cool with what Coach Maguire had to say. He want to play Texas. They want to obviously brew the rivalry. I think it's great for the sport of college football. Hopefully we'll see it, and it might be in the playoffs this upcoming year. But we know there's a little bit of feud there, and it's going to make great for the sport. We don't have enough of this anymore. So much going on with college athletics and the unknownness of what's going to happen next when we want collective bargaining. If the sport will sustain, we love to see different things like this because it makes the sport fun, right? That's what we want. So I'm excited. So Texas fans that feel the Lulu, I cover Texas. I think a great program. They play a tough schedule. I'm not coming for their scheduling. But for those other 2 non-conference games, why you can't schedule Texas Tech? That's all I'm saying. right? Why you can't schedule them. That's my only point there. I can't wait. Hopefully, we'll see this matchup. Probably won't be this season, but if we see it in the playoffs, you know it's going to be obviously some great action, and it's going to be interesting to see if Texas Tech can follow up another good season with a great one, and the kind of unknownness with the quarterback situation. We'll find out. Stars going to be born though. But that's all I got for this vid, man. As y'all always know, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hype up the video, and I will see you guys soon. And as always, peace and love.